Hello, this is Michael Tillinger, and today I'm talking to a very interesting chap all the way in the Cape, South Africa, who made some amazing discoveries, breakthrough information regarding negative ions and radiation. And I guess he's going to tell us all about it because I'm very excited about the products that he's created here in South Africa that are available to people around the world. And this is Daniel van Tonder. So hello, Daniel. It's really great pleasure to meet you. Nice to know you, and welcome to sharing your beautiful information with everybody.
Hello, Michael. Nice hearing your voice too. Great sharing.
Daniel, so I'm just going to start first of all by outlining what we're going to talk about, so people are prepared for what we're going to cover in this discussion. We're going to talk about the general wellness, health and wellness, the importance of negative ions and the actions of negative ions. We're going to talk a bit about radiation as well, because that's obviously an area that you're an expert in. We're going to talk about negative ions in nature and how negative ions are created in a lab or with electronic equipment, and how you developed your amazing devices that create negative ions and more, and how we can put that to use to improve our health and wellness. So
absolutely,
those are basically some of the subjects that we're going to cover. And the reason I'm doing this is because I recently discovered Daniel's inventions here in South Africa. Where are you based, Daniel?
We're based in Durbanville in Cape Town.
In Durbanville, Cape Town. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful mountains, the vineyards that surround Cape Town. It's just a beautiful area. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're right in among the vineyards.
Yeah. So Daniel, first of all, just tell us a bit about your background and what brought you to making, little machines and technology that generate negative ions and other amazing healing products.
Michael, I'll try to be brief because I can really say so much about it. But basically, I'm a professional engineer and I hold a national engineering diploma in electrical engineering. And I have been developing medical and scientific equipment for many years. I was introduced to particles, energetic particles, whilst working at Southern University's Nuclear Research Institute at Fora, based in Cape Town, where I learned how beneficial particles can be to the body once it's selectively applied. And then I represented South Africa at the International Microcontamination Congress in Anaheim, California. Coming back to South Africa, of course, and then whilst being in the States, I was also trained on linear particle accelerators. So that gave me a very good background, just that it really opened up the way for me to start generating negative ion generators.
Okay, and so obviously we're going to talk about negative ion generators, and I'm actually just going to hold up just so that right up front people can see what we're talking about. I've got two of your wonderful machines that you created, the negative ion generator, this little device here, and this is what it looks like, just for people that want to see it.
Absolutely. That's the standard unit. Yeah.
That's the standard unit, negative ion generator. And what's nice about it is that it's got a plug that you can plug it into your car. So you can,
absolutely.
It makes it portable. And then you can do that and plug it into your house. So just so people get an idea what it looks like, but let's just talk about the importance of negative ions. First of all, negative ions are all around us in nature. Obviously, certain parts of nature, certain areas of nature like forests and especially where forests meet water and waterfalls, those are generally recognized as the areas in nature that are the highest concentration of negative ions. Or are there other areas that I'm missing that you know about?
Well, also, you mentioned forests, but also when you walk along the beach and you have the breakers breaking up the water molecules against the rocks, that also generates quite a high density of negative ions.
Yes. One could compare a waterfall falling to the breaking waves of a beach where the negative ions are released from the water.
Negative ions generally appears like about 1,000 to 1,500 positive and negative ions they're pretty much balanced in nature.
Yes. Now, well, you mentioned something important here, and positive and negative ions. Now, let's just say it right up front as well. Negative ions, well, positive and negative ions, as far as I know, destroy viruses. Well, I know negative ions destroy viruses. Is it true for positive ions as well?
Absolutely. It also destroys viruses, yes.
Is it just easier to generate negative ions because of the electrons?
Negative ions have been found to be more beneficial than positive ions to the body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, much more beneficial. And also, it's been found to boost the immune system tremendously. Permeates through the skin and the respiratory tract, and it lands up in the bloodstream and helps the body take up more oxygen, which is what you want.
Yes. Okay, so, and this is why people feel so good when they go for a walk in the forest, or when they are out and camping in the forest and near waterfalls and the rainforest. That's why people love going to those places. That's why people love going for a walk on the beach, because it makes them feel good because of the high concentration of negative ions. They don't realize why it is, or most people have no clue why they feel so good. They just know they feel good, and that's why they keep doing it, and they keep
absolutely
into nature and walks on the beach and so forth. So the other important thing about negative ions, and I've done a previous video about this, my good friend Sam Osmanagic from the Bosnian pyramids, he's had incredible experiences with negative ions and the health benefits of negative ions in the tunnels, the Bosnian tunnels, the Ravne tunnels, where people have experienced for 12 years or more now, repetitive healing and improvement of health symptoms. And this is really why you created your negative ion generator, for those reasons, right? And the negative ion, the fact that negative ions kills viruses is not new. We've known about this for a long time. What's the guy's name? Professor something from is it London University or Oxford University?
Oxford, yeah. Professor John Oxford.
John Oxford, sorry, yes. John Oxford, yes. From one of the British universities that did a lot of work in the 70s and 80s already, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. That is so. Yeah.
And they showed how negative ions just destroy viruses, especially now in this pandemic. Many people just live in fear of this virus, or any other kind of viruses that cause common cold or other viruses and so forth. The fact that you enrich your house with negative ions will make your home far more beneficial to your health.
Absolutely, Michael. The important point here is that the density of negative ions has to be at a certain level. And this is why I call my development high density. So high density negative ions, this unit that we've just looked at, generates 20 million negative ions per cubic centimeter per second. So the unit generally, I'm just picking up one. This is the standard unit. So at the outset of the unit, you get the high density of 20 million ions. And obviously it decreases the further you move away from the unit, because it decreases with what we call the inverse square law. So it just weakens up the further you move away. But ideally, the unit is set up between 20 to 30 centimeters from the outlet. So you virtually develop in a cloud or a cluster of high density negative ions. And that's the important part. And that can be proven by subjecting the unit to a particle counter. And I found the best counter for this purpose is called the Gaudian condenser type counter, named after the scientist that developed it. It's highly accurate, and it's also used for weather research out in the stratosphere. So it tells you the quality of the type of instrument that's needed to really verify very accurately the output of a unit such as this. There's a big difference between a linear output of a unit, because linear is like moving one after the other, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, whereas high density is a volumetric measurement, and that's what you want. And that's why I say it's easier to explain it by telling people, look up at the cloud and envisage that being negative ions. That's a cloud of negative ions. And this is what you're being exposed to when you use the Medox unit.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, it's important that you show the difference or highlight the difference between linear measurement and volumetric measurement, because
Absolutely.
one could obviously use the linear measurement to try and confuse people about the efficacy of a specific unit. So if people look at other potential negative ion generators out there to compare apples with apples, make sure that you're
Yes.
comparing the volumetric production and release of negative ions as opposed to
Correct.
the release of negative ions. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely, sir.
Now, it's really important to talk about some of the diseases and the problems that negative ions and high concentration of negative ions can actually help us with, help our bodies, and if we're feeling sick and so forth. So, for example, we already spoke extensively about viruses, so any kind of viral infections, et cetera, et cetera. Now, you've had some interesting experiences already, haven't you, with your negative ion machines, and also the other machine, which is this one here. It's just,
Yeah.
this is the
Which we call the I.C.U. We refer to that as the intensive care unit. Yeah. Very much so, that unit. Yeah. Yes.
this is the intensive care unit, and you can see it's different.
Correct.
It's got a hole here. It doesn't have the ribs, and it's got
Correct.
a hole because into the hole goes this pipe that you then
Correct.
put on your face, and you breathe it in. So that's this unit. So this is as you say, the I.C.U. hospital unit.
Yeah.
And they're just very nice, compact, and I've been using it myself for about almost close to a month now, and you know, I'm healthy. I feel good. The vibe in our house is fantastic because we got the negative ion machine on. Plus, my wife Emma and I use this. Well, we used it in the beginning, and now we use it every second or third day, as per your instructions. But can you tell us some of the successes that you've had with, for example, the
Yeah.
unit?
Yeah, the unit that you've just shown is referred to. It's equipped with a enriched oxygen generator, which is really ozone, because it's 3 atoms of oxygen clubbed together to produce ozone. Now, ozone has been found to be one of the most effective, one of the most powerful disinfectants that you can possibly get, and has been shown to be very effective in destroying viruses, bad bacteria, and fungus. And we've just had personal experience of it, whereby during the last couple of weeks we've had people, because of what's happening in our country, we've actually had people contract a virus, and we'd given them one of our units to use very, very effectively after being exposed to the unit and using it in accordance with the instructions, using it over a period of 2 days. They got their normal breathing back. They were relieved of headaches. They felt energized again.
I'm just looking at what else. What's important to also talk about here is that keep in mind that low oxygen levels initiate cancer-forming conditions. So the moment you reduce your oxygen intake, your body gets into a hypoxic state, hypoxia, low levels of oxygen, and you create the conditions under which cancer begins to form. Cancerous growth, and your cells start to become cancerous in your body, and it could be any part of your body. It's really very important. And this research goes back to the 1940s already, when it was shown how low levels of oxygen or reduction of oxygen intake starts to form cancer in your body. So keep in mind,
Correct.
when you're wearing your mask during the so-called pandemic that we've been thrust into, when you keep wearing your mask all the time and you reduce your level of oxygen intake, what you're possibly doing to your body. So for those people that live in fear and they want to wear masks and they're forced to wear masks, keep this in mind. And my advice, my personal advice, keep in mind that mask will reduce the oxygen that you take in. So keep in mind what that might be to your body. I'm just putting this up. You can formulate your own logical conclusion to what might be happening to humanity by wearing masks. Lower.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Sorry, Michael, interrupting there. It puts the body under oxidative stress, like you rightfully said. And the same with these towers, these broadcasting towers, cell towers, you know. If you look at 5G, for example, and they're radiating or transmitting at a 60 gigahertz frequency, putting themselves or the size of the waves being reduced to millimeter wavelengths so as to handle all the data. But at the same time, it interferes with the oxygen molecule and breaks down the oxygen molecule, which I said which is 2 atoms of oxygen, but it splits it in half into monatomic oxygen, and which is not recognized by our immune system. So immediately the body is being prevented from taking up any more oxygen, and that tires one down and wears you out. And to come back to cancer, that's an actual promoter for cancer, is that it's been shown. I've got a huge background in cancer. I've spent 50 years of my life there, trained in America on high-intensity linear accelerators for radiation purposes. And cancer has been shown to replicate in the absence of oxygen. It's called anaerobic, and it just goes mad. So, but in the presence of oxygen, high volumes of oxygen, you have the exact opposite taking place, and it fights the cancer cells.
In fact, we could almost say that, or it could be said that it's impossible for bacteria, pathogens, viruses, fungus, and any of these pathogens, and including cancerous formations, cannot exist in an oxygen-rich environment. Would that be more or less?
That's a very correct statement. Yeah.
So this is why, you know, when you exercise, when you get a lot of oxygen in and you get rich oxygen into your body, and your body as well, the oxygen flows cleanly through your body without obstructions, and you got a healthy body. Then you got a healthy body. You don't formulate disease. Disease does not form. Dis-ease. You know,
Exactly.
with the vibes of the earth and your environment. You're in harmony with your environment, and the food.
Absolutely.
The food that we eat needs to be equally exposed to the right frequencies and the right conditions, so that it actually feeds our bodies.
This is where Medox is so efficient, because of the high output of negative ions, which then permeates and goes into the body and lands in the bloodstream, where it helps the body to take up more oxygen.
Okay, so we're talking about the two machines. Let's just clarify this for those that are watching this. You've made two generating little devices. One generates negative ions, which just helps to harmonize the environment in your house, in your bedroom, wherever you have it. How would you describe it?
Yeah. It benefits boosts the immune system, and it's our immune system that fights any diseases and illnesses.
So that's the negative ion generator. The other machine is the enriched oxygen generator, and what would you recommend that for?
We normally recommend that for people that have with illnesses, especially flu symptoms and that type of thing.
And I assume chest, lung infections and chest infections, and
correct,
and possibly
correct.
blood and etc. I mean, I guess it could help heal all kinds of disease. We're just not even aware of it.
I could vouch for that.
Yeah. Often we don't know that we're sick. I mean, our bodies might be experiencing stress, but we don't know that we're sick, and then we often find out too late that we have been sick when the symptoms start to show, because we're not sensitive enough to feel when our bodies are in distress. So by taking this enhanced oxygen at the right prescribed times and amounts, not overdoing it like crazy, sit there, breathe this all day. That's not gonna do you too good. But if you do it the right way, you will obviously then put enough oxygen into your body that'll help start fighting some of the diseases that you may not even be aware of. If there might be parts of your body that are starting to develop cancer or whatever, or infections in your lungs, etc., you'll take care of that without even realizing it.
Yeah, it keeps you healthy because it optimizes your immune system.
Yeah. So you know what I find fascinating is this role of oxygen in everything. It's incredible because I was just driving yesterday, and thinking about the importance of oxygen. In fact, we could probably say that oxygen is probably the most important element in our reality, in our existence here, because oxygen is part of everything. If you think about it.
Absolutely.
The body runs on oxygen.
Think of like water is H2O. Oxygen makes up water. Silica
Yeah.
dioxide, oxygen makes up crystals. So between the oxygen, we couldn't have water and we couldn't have rocks, because all rocks and
Correct.
mountains
Yes.
are made up of silica, quartz, mostly quartz, quartzitic type of variants
Yeah.
of quartz, and that's all connected to oxygen. So
Yes.
oxygen, we wouldn't have water and we wouldn't have mountains. We wouldn't have rocks. You can't have concrete without oxygen. You can't have plants can't function without oxygen. And carbon dioxide, oxygen connected to
Yeah.
carbon. So it's just actually when people start doing this kind of introspective thinking about some of these simple beneficial elements, molecules, and the minerals around us, you start formulating a very different picture of the world that we find ourselves in. And oxygen, for me, is like the godlike molecule. It's like the god atom that makes everything possible.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I always say that the body is, I call the oxygen the life support, which it is. It is a life support, but it also helps the body to make a very important chemical, generate a very important chemical in the body known as ATP. Maybe you know about it, the adenosine triphosphate, which I like to refer to as the electrolyte of the body. And without oxygen, the cells cannot produce ATP. And when there's an insufficient amount of oxygen, I mean, your cells run down, which makes you tired, because we're cellular. We're about 90 or 100, 200 billion cells grouped together. So it's very important for us to keep those cells healthy by exposing them to high-density negative ions, and therefore helping the body to take up more oxygen.
Yes, so what you said there is important. So the high-density negative ions helps the body take up more oxygen.
Absolutely, sir.
Okay, so that's a very important bit of information that maybe I should have mentioned right up front. So when you have your negative ion generator in your house, in your bedroom, and it helps to absorb more oxygen, especially in an area that the oxygen might be depleted.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, that's very important. So we've covered the success stories. Look, the negative ion thing is really important. So it's also important to recognize that our homes, generally speaking, inside our houses are very low concentrations of negative ions. Also, we have all the electrosmog, the computers, the cabling, right? So and that causes havoc, right?
Absolutely, to the body, very much so. Yeah.
So it's important to increase the negative ion concentration in our homes, because even just when you walk outside of your home, there's already a higher concentration of negative ions than inside our houses. Would that be correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's easily, of course, it's reduced very badly due to smog outside the houses. But I mean, there is a higher concentration outside than inside our houses.
So the other important thing is, like Sam Osmanagic found, that the tunnels, the Ravne tunnels leading up to the Bosnian Pyramid are very high concentration of negative ions. So people go there and they start to experience all kinds of healing because of that, like you said, because it improves the absorption of the oxygen, and then you start healing because of the oxygen. Oxygen is a healer. Oxygen kills
Absolutely.
cells. Oxygen kills viruses and bacteria as well. So.
Exactly. And as you pointed out earlier or previously, Michael, when I spoke to you the first time and I spoke about Samagic, he calls his caves healing caves. And now by having a Medox generator in your home, you are virtually turning your home into a healing cave.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So this is why I decided to do this interview with you, because I find it very important. And also, being a proud South African, I'm very happy and proud that this is a South African product, so that we can export to the world. And it's a high concentration, 20 million 20 million ions per cubic centimeter per second. Okay, that's remarkable. So we mentioned that you started a company called Medox, and Medox is the manufacturer of this, and I'm very happy that I'll be promoting this because I just love the technology. Oh, the question to ask you, obviously people want to know the safety of this product. You know, I've already shown that it's a portable unit, you can plug it into your car, lighter, you can plug it into that and have it travel with it. You can take it camping if you want, but especially, or you can take it into a very badly polluted area. Don't the negative ions also help clean up air, like germs and smoke and bacteria and
Yes.
Very much so. Very much so. Interestingly, you know, as the unit is generating, the output of the generator, the reason why it's reducing all the time is because the negative ions actually impact dust particles in the air. And it loads the dust particles with the negative ions, and then ultimately they form clusters, and their mass increase and they fall down to the ground. So this is in fact also acts as an electronic filter, very high efficiency filter, much better than HEPA filters, for example, high efficiency particle filters, which only filters down to 0.1 micron, whereas this goes far beyond that.
Okay, so tell us a bit more about the technical side, like you started telling. I think some people will be really interested in the technical details, and also what kind of standards does the Medox negative ion generator meet? Are there any standards that it has to meet, and safety standards and all technical stuff?
What I'd like to point out here, Michael, is that we must remember that this is offered as an alternative treatment to medicine. So we do not profess to. We do not make any claims as to this, that people should look at this as medical advice.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's an alternative. But to come back to the standard, each and every one of our units is calibrated in our manufacturing facility with a gradient condenser, high density particle counter, so that we certify that when we put a label, we stick a label on the back. If you turn your unit over, you'll see on the back the specifications to which that unit has been designed to, and that it can be shown and can be shown and proven to meet all those specifications.
All right. Well, so anything else you'd like to add to just to share with the people that are watching this? Any other important information that we might have missed? I think we covered pretty much all the important parts of it.
I would say so. You know, always you think about things afterwards that you could have said or should have said, but you know, we are just a telephone call away. So this is only the start of things, the way I see it, Michael.
Yeah. So the most important thing is that high concentration of negative ions are very beneficial for your health. And we have a generator that generates safe negative ions with very, very basic electronic principles. And then at the same time, there's another machine, another generator that creates concentrated oxygen or enriched oxygen, should I say? Would that be the right way to?
Yes, enriched oxygen. Yeah.
Enriched oxygen that you breathe in. And from the instructions I remember, for 3 days in a row, it's 5 minutes a day, and after that you do it 5 minutes every second or third day, so you don't overdo it. So you then do with enriched oxygen, and that really stimulates the growth of healthy cells and starts to kill the cancer cells and cancer growths. So like Daniel said, this is not promoted as an alternative to mainstream medicine, but definitely a supportive and an enhanced look at alternative healthcare and treating yourself against possibly unknown disease that might already be in our bodies.
Michael, there is a last point that just come to my mind. I'm a migraine sufferer. And I suffer badly of migraine to the tune that my vision normally is distorted, and I cannot read or see properly. And my wife has to take over and drive the car, for example. That's how bad I get it. Wow. What I have been doing since I've developed this unit, I've discovered that high density negative ions are extremely beneficial to breathe in for a period of between 40 minutes and an hour. You breathe it in through the nose, keep it in the body for 5 counts and blow out through the mouth. And I can visually see, by exposing myself to that over a period of 40 minutes to an hour, I can see how my eyes are clearing up and I'm able to get up out of bed and actually drive my car, whereas previously I would be totally incompetent. So I can vouch for that. That's excellent to fight migraine headaches.
Well, that's good. So those people that suffer from migraines, that could be another very interesting alternative bit of help for you. So yeah, Daniel, we'll have another chat at some other time. Let's put this video out there and get this information to as many people as we can. That's what this video is all about. Just an introduction to you, introduction of you, the inventor of this technology, proudly made in South Africa, available to people around the world, and obviously to our friends in South Africa. Incredible machines, the Medox negative ion generator, and then the I.C.U. unit with the enriched oxygen generator. And for those interested, go to my website, follow the links, and get yourself one of these, or one of each, and
absolutely
turn your home into a healthy environment.
Yes, healing cave.
Yeah, healing cave. Yes, turn your home into a healing cave. And just before you go, finally, just to remind people, one of the reasons, or the main reason, possibly the main reason why people experience such healing in the Bosnian tunnels, at Great Zimbabwe, in the stone circles of South Africa, and at Adam's calendar, is because all of these sites, for some reason, generate high concentrations of negative ions.
There you go. There you go.
Very high concentration of negative ions.
Fantastic.
I know, for example, Sam has told me, even in the Bosnian tunnels, people that have had bad eyesight, who's like 10% after being exposed there, going there for 2 hours a day for like a few days, their eyesight improved dramatically. I mean, that's how dramatic the exposure to negative ions can be. So
that's absolutely.
Turn your house and your bedroom and your lounge into a healing cave, like the Bosnian tunnels and Adam's calendar, Zimbabwe, and the stone circles of South Africa. So Daniel, I want to thank you. Thanks for sharing this, and thank you for offering your time to share this. And I hope that people respond and take up your beautiful designs and beautiful inventions.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks so much for the interview. I really appreciate it very much.
Yeah. Until next time. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.